On Hot Copy this Friday morning, have you ever wondered what is making you sick? Sometimes you blame the weather, but could it be that it's the food you actually eat? Visiting the Philippines for a two-day conference for the Preventive, Regenerative, Integrative Medicine Conference, he's an expert on food allergies and an expert on food intolerance, is Dr. Camille Lieners. Thank you for coming to the Philippines and to Head Start, Dr. Lieners.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right. We're experiencing more people getting sick, and in the Philippines, people always blame the change in weather. It could be one reason, but is it actually possible that the food we eat, regular food that we think is healthy, could actually make a person sick?
Yes, absolutely. You know, what makes a person sick is what he's exposed to. And we are exposed to food every day. We eat every day more or less the same food. And if our immune system responds, this will create a chronic inflammation in our body.
Okay.
And this chronic inflammation is the biggest threat actually for our health, and also the cause of most chronic inflammatory diseases.
Yes, but when you say there are certain foods that cause chronic inflammation, one might think they'd have to be processed foods, junk food. Is it necessarily that?
No, not necessarily. Well, very often it's the case, it's true, but very often it can be healthy food. So what we expect to be healthy food. So, for example, when you look at the recommendation of the nutritional committee,
yeah,
they tell you eat a lot of grains, whole grains, dairy, fruits, 5 fruits and vegetables a day. But what if you are lactose intolerant? What if you are celiac disease? What if you are fructose intolerant? And about between 20 and 40% of the general population have one of these issues.
Yeah.
So already that the general recommendation is not suitable for an individual.
Yeah.
It's for the mass, but not for the individual.
Okay. Now, this is educational for our viewers. We've prepared the common foods that actually they'll be surprised that people could be allergic to, or their immune system or body may not be able to tolerate. Okay. The first one that people are commonly allergic to is actually, let's show this, is cow's milk. Okay.
Yes.
Why are many people allergic to cow's milk?
Well, why is, well, probably because cow's milk or milk is for the babies and not for the adults.
Okay.
So the cattle drinks cow's milk, but the elder cow doesn't drink.
Okay.
But we are the only species on Earth which drink milk all our life.
Yeah.
And the problem is that the protein in the milk is actually a very allergic compound.
The protein in the milk, which is called casein.
For example.
Okay. Okay, so it's a high allergen compound.
It's a high allergen compound,
okay.
Yes.
All right. And what could happen to a person? For example, if you're not lactose intolerant, but then you feel strange or sickly, when can the effects come out?
Well, we have to differentiate between two types of allergies.
Yeah.
So one is the immediate type of allergy, so which is commonly known and treated by allergologists, which is mediated by an antibody called IgE.
Yeah.
And then we have the delayed type of allergy. And this occurs about 3 hours after you ingested the food, but it may also pop up to 3 days after you ingested the food.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, go on. So the allergy can come out 3 days after you've ingested the food?
Yes, and
okay.
in that case it's mediated by an IgG antibody. So it's a different type of antibody, it's a different type of pathology. But the big problem is that when you eat something today and you will have a symptom tomorrow or the day after tomorrow, you never associate your symptom to the food that you've eaten today.
Okay.
While with the type 1 allergy, so the IgE immediate type of allergy, you bite into an apple and within seconds or minutes your mucosa is swelling, your skin is itching. So you recognize immediately the food. But in delayed type of allergy, it's literally impossible to identify the food by yourself. So there you need to go for a test.
Okay, so you have cow's milk, and this one, the next ones are more common. I mean, people are discovering it today, is wheat and gluten.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So up to now, the sensitivity to gluten was considered to be celiac disease.
Yeah.
But celiac disease is a rare disease. Let's say it's 2 out of 100 who may have it. And it's a severe disease. But nowadays we know that gluten also induces the so-called non-celiac gluten sensitivity.
Okay.
Which means you react to gluten, but you don't have these common symptoms like in celiac disease, like bowel disease. but it may act outside of the intestine. Never mind, it depends on your genetics, it depends on your previous history, it depends on your injuries or surgeries what you have. Which kind of tissue is sensitized will be affected by this kind of sensitization.
What is it in gluten specifically? I know you told me that there's a certain protein in it that not everybody can actually digest.
Yeah, well, that's another part of the gluten sensitivity. That the gluten and the casein, actually, they contain what we call exorphins. These are molecules which are pretty close to morphine.
Okay.
And
morphine, like the drug.
Like the drug.
Yeah.
Yes. And so if you have a deficiency in a certain digestive enzyme, which is called peptidase 4, then when you degrade these molecules, you will release these morphines into your body.
Okay.
And these morphines, depending on the degree of your deficiency, will lead to fatigue, or starting from chronic fatigue up to autism, depending on the degree of the deficiency.
Yeah. Actually, this is why many autistic kids actually have started doing the casein gluten-free diet at a young age.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, and then eggs. This is a shocker for many. I mean, Filipinos love to eat eggs. How would you know if you're allergic to eggs?
Well, you wouldn't know.
You wouldn't know?
No, you wouldn't know. See, normally the food that makes you really ill is very often your preferred food.
Really? Wait, the food that makes you sick or ill is your preferred food?
May be your preferred food.
But
yeah.
usually?
Yeah, very often, yes.
Okay.
At least one of them is part of them, yeah.
All right, okay. And why do you prefer it? Is it because the brain or the gut makes you crave for it?
Well, in the case of gluten and casein, yes, indeed, there is a kind of addiction to this food. So when I ask my patients who want to do such a test, are you prepared to avoid? Well, no, first of all, I ask, what is your preferred food? And they say chocolate, cheese, or whatever.
Yeah, me too. Chocolate, yeah.
And then I ask them, okay, are you prepared to avoid this? And if they say no, I can't live without, I say, okay, then maybe the test is not for you, because you have to be able to comply to our recommendations. Means to avoid this food very strictly for a specific time.
Okay, and when we talk of a specific test, you've actually put together what you call the ImmunoPro test.
Yes.
Yes, and it's a different kind of test compared to other allergy tests. Because I've taken allergy tests before, and yours is quite different. In what sense?
Well, first of all, a classic allergy test for this antibody called IgE.
Yeah.
So, and this IgE is for immediate reactions.
Yes.
While our test is testing for IgG antibodies, and these are the ones who are responsible for the delayed onset of symptoms.
Yeah.
So you cannot confirm or compare these tests to each other. Normally, if you're positive in our test, you're negative in IgE and vice versa.
Yes.
So it's very seldom that you are positive in both tests.
Okay, and this particular test, because you're based in Luxembourg, essentially, it's not